There's my applause. Yeah, that's good. You know, I'm just gonna go up there and say thank you to everybody.
Yeah. The last names are too similar too. Martinez and McCabe, like. Well, you guys, Jimmy, don't sit in this chair. You'll break it. Jimmy, go down.
You bump down one so I can.
Yep. We're good.
We're going.
Yep.
Chair four. Ends. All right, done.
Okay. Jimmy.
Oh, the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And then I got my next to you.
Yep.
Okay. We got this.
I'm afraid.
Hey, Dan.
I didn't know you could bring swords.
Since you couldn't. You want one? You can use it for talking. You can use it for talking.
Just take Kelsey, sir.
So one chips, look that up real quick.
There we go. Yeah, we're good. All right. So I'm going to talk in this, even though you guys could probably hear me pretty well if I didn't, but people at home are going to need me to actually enunciate into this microphone. So I'm Mickey, president of Armored MMA. We started on our back porch 5 years ago, just training, having fun, and it kind of ran away with itself. So 2 years ago, we started doing these events in stadiums. It's a year and a half ago. Yeah. And we took a big risk this year to tour around the United States, bring Armored MMA, Armored Combat to as many people as we could around the United States, bringing people from all around the world to compete. And we've managed to be somewhat successful. You know, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of heartache, a lot of hard work. And today we're bringing all these fighters up in front of you to let you get to know them, but also to thank them and all the fans for getting us so far in our journey to make Armored MMA something as big as possible. And this is the biggest we've ever gotten it. We're going to be having an all-day festival here at the Hall of Fame Village with 12v12 fights going on, lots of music that are, you know, local regional bands playing. And then, of course, the whole stadium is going to be activated with, 3 massive bands, Sleep Theory, Drowning Pool, and Lamb of God are going to be playing with us. And that's insane. Like, it's insane to even think that we, went from doing 200 people a week at our gym where we'd fight multiple times, fight each other multiple times in a night, wear each other out, load, breakdown, setup, and everything. And now we're looking over the precipice of a stadium that's going to be filled with just amazing people who want to come and love this sport and get to know this sport. And, also just rock out to some really awesome metal music. So before I turn it over to anybody who wants to ask questions, I just want to, again, thank you all. Thank you for the fighters for coming out. Let's have a great weekend. All right. So you're welcome to applaud if you like. But yeah, I'm going to just go down the line real quick and just introduce the fighters and what they're going to be fighting with. So to my right, I got Andrew McCabe. To my left, I got Andrew Martinez. They'll be fighting for the middleweight crown this time. So this will be the first time we had a middleweight championship. So it's really exciting. Next in line, we got Boohert against Jimmy Shock over here. They're fighting for the heavyweight crown this time. So they actually have never fought each other ever. Right. So this will be their first time meeting each other. Now, the next one's Taylor Jones over here versus Ronan Sato. They have fought each other before in the armored MMA cage. They fought each other in other leagues and whatnot. This is going to be a grudge match, right? I mean, like, and this will be for a title defense for the light heavyweight championship. So, and then all the way down at the end here, we got Jenny Hobry versus Shanna Knight. And they have fought each other. They fought last year at our first ever, like, little championship that we did. And I'm really looking forward to this rematch. It's going to be really sick. And it'll be the first time we crown a female fighter for armored MMA. So anybody guys? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the fighters are going to be sharing microphones and whatnot. So try to bounce back and forth as you ask your questions. But if anybody's got something to ask to kick us off, we're welcome to take some questions from the audience. What you got?
Yeah, first question. So for the female fighters, first crown for armored MMA, how do you guys feel about, number one, your opponents you fought before, right? And I want to know how that fight went and what we could expect from you and from you as well when it's your turn to speak.
So the fight last year was like the first fight for me being a big cage. It was amazing. And I had Shauna, which is an incredible fighter, as my opponent. I took the win last year, but I'm sure she has changed her game plan and she's ready for more. So am I. I'm the fittest I've ever been. I've trained incredibly hard the last 8 months, and I'm ready to take her on one more time.
Awesome. Shauna?
Yeah. Last time we had a really fun fight. Obviously, you always want to walk away with the win, but I walked away with a lot of lessons, and sometimes those are even more valuable than the win. And I've altered my training a lot, bringing some new things to the table, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
What else you guys got? Yeah.
How long is each fighter's individual fight camp to prep for coming to the Hall of Fame Village for this fight?
Yeah, how long you guys been training for?
Specifically, you guys.
So I didn't have a fight camp as such because we've been, as of this year, being 8 months, I've been training like incredibly hard. So I've been going like this and had a bit of a break just before. But for me, it's been nonstop basically. Like there's always something you can do. Like there's always technique. You have to like calm back a bit and you can't like put full power and there's always something you can do. So it's been like full on for myself personally.
We started the fight camp for this one after the fight in August. So we used the last fight in September as part of that fight camp. So it's been about 8 weeks. 8 weeks for this one, depending on how much time we get in between the fights, to get up to 12 weeks. But this one was specifically 8.
Maybe I just want to chat. I know you guys have been kicking each other's butts. This is
It's been, we trained pretty hard, throughout the middle of the year, both me and Jimmy and I, and the Knyaz team. We had a world tournament that we were training for. It's kind of a different aspect of armored combat. And so we trained really hard for that and got through that. And then we took a little bit of downtime to kind of recoup from any injuries and just the kind of the wear and tear that a big tournament like that takes from you. And then I know Jimmy's been training hard in jiu-jitsu, getting his cardio up and getting his ground game ready. And then myself has been kind of difficult, kind of doing jousting, professional full contact jousting, and training for, a professional MMA fight was kind of difficult to do. But once jousting was done for the season, me and Jimmy kind of really dialed in over the last, month and a half.
We started in August.
About August, yeah, really kind of dialing in, putting on kit, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, just getting round after round after round in, really kind of damaging each other and just kind of getting ready for to see what we can do here.
You just want to speak to that one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, as far as preparation goes and the camps, I try not to focus specifically on camps. I believe they're one of the most active fighters in a sport. I mean, I do every single discipline that is possible in the sport, from 5s, 12s, 30s, dueling, polearms, pro fights in between. And I would like to take this. It's probably a mentality, right? Any fight, anytime, anywhere. And so for me, having a camp doesn't quite make sense. So I generally try to stay prepared across my season. So that's how I prepare. So nothing specific, but I always stay active, always stay fit, ready for any challenge that's thrown at me. I'm pretty sure Jimmy's going to be one tomorrow.
You know, I'll chime in just real quick because a lot of these guys throughout the year I've just called up and said, hey, you got to fight next week. Are you coming? So I know everybody wants a camp, but if you're a real fighter, you should just be ready all year round. So, you know. Jimmy's like, I got something to say.
I got something to say. I hope everyone's ready for this heavyweight championship fight because you're probably looking at the only 2 heavyweights who will be able to fight consistently for 5 rounds. So we've been training for it. I know he trains consistently. Every time I go on Instagram, it's like Boohert taking gold in all dueling categories and pro fight categories, you know, fighting over in Europe. But, you know, I'm doing just as much training. I know he trains, you know, nonstop. Although Andrew said we kicked it in gear, not necessarily a camp, but for pro fight training in August, we do train, like stay ready throughout the year. Most of our training is for melees. It's melee focused, doing cross training such as jiu-jitsu and judo. But as far as like the camp goes, it's just really kicking that conditioning in gear and making sure that we give 100% of ourselves each round for these 5-round fights.
Yeah, what's up, Rob?
You know, and this kind of leads into some of the answers you've been saying, but for those fans, especially the ones watching, what are some of the misconceptions in the sport? Because for some of us, it's new, right? But what are some of the misconceptions? Some of you already answered, but you know, something that you want to clear up that let the world know, hey, we're real, we're doing this. So please share it.
These hits hurt. We'll be sparring. Luckily, we have a lot of adrenaline pumping, and you're like, oh, like he took a sword strike. He didn't look like he super reacted to it. Normally, my armor's holding me together. I get through the fight. The adrenaline is great. The second the fight's over and that armor comes off, ow. It's almost a fun game waking up the next morning, looking, look naked in the mirror and be like, holy cow, like all these different bruises and welts. I don't even remember getting hit here. And a lot of people think, our definition of bruising is much different than other people. Like, oh, I accidentally kicked the corner of the couch. No, like my whole left ass cheek is purple. Like it looks like I got into a car accident. So that misconception, it might not look like, oh, they're not super reacting to it, but we're wearing armor that's designed to move fast and quick. It's thin. Majority of the time it's titanium. These hits hurt. So just keep that in mind while you're watching us. If you don't see us super react to it, underneath those helmets, we're definitely making the face.
Just like in MMA where everybody's getting hit, you can see their reaction and everything. But yeah, you come out of this feeling like you're in a car accident pretty much every time. Whether you demolish the guy or have a hard fight, it's going to be tough no matter what. You just don't get as cut, but all the impact, all the bruising, all the bones and everything like that's the same. Yeah.
To step back to the training, just like Boromir said, I train year round. I'm the captain of Los Angeles Golden Knights, and be involved. I train them in melee, dual, pro fight. I'm in a female team now, so I think you learn by doing all these things all the time. Whenever you're training, even on your own, you learn something. If you pay attention, if you're creative, and then you start applying and see if it works or not. And it's a constant development. I think that MMA, for example, has developed over the years. It's not what it used to be when it started. Our sport's doing the same thing. We're growing. We're adding punching, kicking, kneeing. We're figuring out the ground fighting. For lots of us who did melee prior, is like ground fighting is completely new. People with jiu-jitsu background have a step up on that one. Some people might go to jiu-jitsu to learn that part, so they don't have it. Most of us in martial arts, striking with a weapon is totally new. And actually, I can't tell you how many people, about 30 are invited to train with me from my mixed martial arts experience, and nobody wants to try. They're afraid of weapon. They don't want to get hit by an axe. They want to get hit by a sword. They're willing, and they're tough. They can take hits, kicks, punchings, choking, arm bars, but they won't deal with this. So we're trying to convince them to get started and get going. But so shows like ours that actually make money is inspiring them to try, because, and also my age help as well. Because in MMA, we all know there's not much money in there when you start. It's only the top people, the top 3% that make a lot of money. So since we're making money now with our shows, bar fights, and stadium fights, we hope to go to sport where we can capture a large amount of people. And my direction to try to help with this as well, talk to Mickey, is to do a 40 plus and a 50 plus, maybe 30 plus eventually, so that our veterans fighters, which we have here right now, they don't quit when they're done with being hurt. Because that's what happened. When you get older, you get hurt a little easier and you take longer to heal. That's just biology. I'm an occupational therapist by training, and my doctors say the same thing. We get hurt a little easier and it takes a little longer to heal. That's the way it is. But we have more experience, so we're smarter about how we do things. So if we could maintain our veterans fighter in the sport, in our teams, they can keep coaching everybody else. There's nothing like a new team that has no veterans. How the hell are you supposed to learn? So this is it. I want to grow the sport that direction.
Yeah. Speaking of Ronan's mentality about keeping people in the sport longer, there's a lot of us who start out and then 10 years later we look around and we don't recognize a single fighter in the room. People drop and they don't really see a reason to stay connected. Obviously the community and the family that you find when you're a fighter is like no other. Every one of these people are extended family for me. Actually, I see you guys more than I see most people. Like I if Kelsey didn't travel, around with me, I probably would see you guys more than I see her. So, and I talk to you guys way more too. Like what we have here is a chance to not just be brutes that go out and maim each other, but also just these heroes, these knightly people that show honor and respect to one another. And that's really what's going to keep this sport unique and separate from any other combat sport, is that when you're out there, you respect that person across from you. They worked hard to get there. They've traveled across the world with 100 pounds of armor, went through TSA and all those fun stories that we shared last night about getting our stuff opened up and scanned through by all the security. But we come together and rally behind this sport because it does bring out the best in us. It makes us want to do more. And the reason why Armored MMA, why we're pushing so hard to grow this, is so that there is a place that people can sustain and keep pressing forward and keep their community alive around their efforts, right? So every time a fighter moves up, every time a fighter takes a fight, every time they lose or win, they have a community to come back home to that loves them, respects them, and wants them to, get better and keep pressing forward. So the bigger we are, the bigger the communities will be, and the longer we'll all stay in the sport and take care of each other. So yes, Rob. Oh, sorry.
Actually, one of the things I like to say is I love how the sport is very inclusive. So, congratulations for that. But I'm going to aim this one towards our female fighters in the group. One of the things that we've noticed spending the year with progression with you is how your fan base approaches you, especially little ones, your young fan base. And I really love watching when young little girls will approach you. So for those fans watching out there, for the females, what got you into this? A little bit about your training, but what inspired you to enter this? Because all of you are inspiration. But when I watch these little kids, the way they look up to you, they're watching this movie of a night coming there, and you guys just got out of that cage. So if both of you want to a little bit of that.
Do you want to go first, Shana? Should I?
Go for it.
Right. So starting off, like how I started, what got me into it. So I started roughly 5 years ago. My partner got me actually into it. So I was like, first of all, I started 10 years ago. I was like, that's a bit of a weird sport. Shall I do it? Shall I not? So I was like, not too convinced, to be honest. But then after some time watching it, where the sport developed, because the sport is very different now than it was 10 years ago, to bear in mind. And even 5 years when I started was a huge difference already. So for me, that was like, okay, I think I can now start. And for me, when I start something, I do it 100%. I don't just go in for it for the fun, right? I'm here, I want to give it all my heart I have. And I'm living the sport right now. Like I'm coaching, like my part-time job is coaching this sport now. So I'm doing everything I can to bring the sport further as much as we can in our city back home. And that's basically what got me into and what inspires me to be where I am right now. It's just like constantly pushing further.
All right. So I grew up playing a lot of like team sports, and like the more physical, the better. I actually played tackle football only in elementary school, which I know doesn't really count for most things. But in 6th grade, I weighed 60 pounds, and you're supposed to be at least 65 to play, and had to get a waiver. So my parents wouldn't let me play after 6th grade. But I was the only girl on a tackle football team, and I always felt like I had to work so much harder and do so much more and be so much more because I was expected to be so much less. And I actually ended up getting like defensive MVP for being the hardest hitter on the team, and like always proving like what I was capable of was something that was like super important to me. And so I came across this sport when I was in the Army, and I was browsing YouTube, and some videos of the fighting came up, and I was like, oh, that's a weird looking video game. And I watched some footage, and I was like, oh, like that's like real. And I was like, oh, like they're like really hitting each other. And I was like, oh, there's a women's team. And so I just kind of Googled it and found a local team to start training with. And yeah, it pretty much goes from there. I just love the physicality of the sport and the camaraderie that comes from the thing that we do.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, so for some of the folks who are a little bit new to this sport, I thought it might be helpful to just get a little bit more knowledge about who you are and where you came from. You all speak to varieties of other disciplines and things that have gotten you to where you are. Maybe each of you could speak to, number one, where you're from. Number two, what got you into it. I know that the ladies just spoke a little bit about that, but what was really something that sort of made this a profession for you, and speak to a little bit more of sort of how you brought some of your training from other disciplines into the space.
Yeah, before you pass the mic, do you guys mind just saying like your names, where you're from, and then we'll just keep kind of passing that around. So you want to just reiterate your...
Sure. My name's Shannon Knight, and I fight out of Dallas, Texas.
Cool.
I'm Jenny Hapery, and I'm from the UK, Nottingham.
I'm Taylor Jones, and I fight out of Houston, Texas.
And you can answer the whole like, what got you into this, man?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the question?
What got you into this, man? Yeah.
And what disciplines?
What disciplines? Okay. So I came from a football background, didn't have any martial arts or anything like that, but played football in high school and a little bit in club football level in college, and just kept getting hurt. So just having that, still the need to compete and have that full contact physicality kind of thing was appealing when I found this on YouTube also, a while ago. And then, yeah, we from there in Houston started a team, started a gym. And so, yeah, now I have a gym in Houston, Texas that I'll coach and train people out of for armored MMA, for Boohert, and just for general health and wellness also. People actually take Boohert training or armored MMA training and just like it and have fun doing it. And so like they get in a lot better shape and feel better, and a lot of movement out of it and everything too that comes from it. You slowly start learning all those other disciplines, and then you end up, I'll go do some kickboxing, and I'll go do some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and different things like that now. But like coming into it, just football and training. Yeah.
I'm Bohumil Masničak, originally from Slovakia. I moved to England. The way I got into this sport was I was always fascinated by history and weapons and blades. And so when I came to England, I sort of joined the reenactment group. However, very quick, I was told I'm too aggressive. So I was banned from reenactment.
Banned?
No, not fully banned. They allow me to go on a field, but they wouldn't allow me to fight. So I was carrying a flag.
That's a ban. That's
in my eyes. That's ban. Just get out. Then my other half find a sport in London, which was closest to me. So I wanted to join. Essentially, I met White Company guys. What later on became White Company guys. So suddenly, for my reenactment and try to have fun, I was forced to try to achieve these goals that we set for ourselves, which were insane, to be fair. I mean, we never shine away from like, okay, if we if you aim high, right, even if you fall short, it's still better to aim high. We got a saying back home: it's better to aim to the stars and miss than aim to the pile of shit and hit. So yeah, I didn't really have a choice to take it easy, to take it steady. I was straight away, as soon as I found a sport, I was pushed to absolute limits of humanity and what's possible in the sport.
I'm Andrew Martinez from Mexico. I've just have I've used to train HEMA. That's my background. So after this, I like swords. I saw guys hitting each other with an armor. I think that's cool. Maybe I can try. They brought me a few things, and I'm here. I don't like so much Boohert at the first, because I think that's there's no technique, and then after this I tried Boohert and I like it. So it's fun. It's just hitting each other and until another guy fall. So and 1v1 almost all the time, and just make my sword skill, because it's more used to make some fencing things because of HEMA. After this, I try to make more kickboxing, and other sports that make me full armor guy, because some boxing, jiu-jitsu, grappling kind of stuff. So that's my background.
My name is Andrew McCabe from Michigan. Kind of like a lot of these people up here, I think a lot of us kind of just kind of got lucky and kind of fell into the sport by finding some type of, online video, probably like a lot of the viewers are right now. You guys are kind of just stumbling into kind of this genre of combat sports. And so when I found it, it was kind of one of those things where it was like, how do you get involved? And I kind of just watched what they used to call Battle of the Nations, which was like the premier world tournament of the sport that happened. And I would just watch that all the time and kind of thinking to myself, well, I see that there's people from the United States competing, but how do you get involved in it? And I kind of just got lucky, and somebody reached out to me from a comment that I had commented on a video, and asked me if I was interested, and I said, yeah. So, and I kind of, you just got to get a little lucky and hope that there's a club kind of by you. I know there's some resources to seeing if there's any local clubs by you. I'm sure that, Mickey and the MMA crew will be putting out some type of, link or something that helps people kind of get involved in the sport and see if there are local teams by you. But once I got involved, at first it was just kind of like, is it reenactment? Is it full contact? And then once I got into it and realized kind of what the sport was, and that was, 8 years ago. And, like they said, the sport has really grown since then. And so we kind of first started it kind of just as like a hobby. And then once we really kind of got more information and really got kind of dedicated to it, I myself actually left the team that I had originally started with because I wanted to pursue it in a more competitive way. It wasn't kind of just a fun pastime to me anymore. It was a kind of full-time sport, versus just kind of like a hobby. A lot of us up here, a lot of people kind of, when they talk to us, they think, oh, this is just kind of like your hobby. This is something that you do on your weekends, and so on and so forth. But what a lot of people don't notice is that, all of us up here take this very seriously, and this isn't just a hobby to us. This is a full-time kind of side gig that we do, right? All of us up here are athletes that are trying to be the best at a sport as we can. And so we kind of just took that and we've created a really amazing team that has become not even just a team anymore, but a family. And so, Jimmy here is on my team, and we've just kind of, taken this, and it's just become a lifestyle for us now. you know, and I think that's kind of the same story for a lot of the people that are up on this board. I know for Mickey, this has definitely become nothing but your life for the past couple of years, and we thank you for it. So
Quite a bit to follow up to. My name is Jimmy Schock. I train out of Michigan. I discovered this sport by chance. I started a new job and I had to share a cubicle with a coworker who also was a brand new at that job at the same time as me. So we were just getting to know each other, and the talk of like bucket lists came up. And I'm like, man, I think being able to fight in full armor would be so cool. And he's like, so I do rugby, and this guy at rugby fights at a club in Detroit, and I'm checking it out next week. He's like, do you want to go? And I'm like, I've never wanted to do something more in my entire life. I'm sure most of these guys, you know, a lot of people in the sport, we're all like history nerds. You know, we love, you know, the medieval time period. It's just fascinating to us. And any wooden stick we find on the ground that slightly resembles a sword, you know, I say that I did that as a child, but, you know, now and then I still do it at 29 years old. But yeah, it's a good stick. I'm just coming home with me. But yeah, I started the sport. I come from a wrestling background. I did wrestling and football in high school. As I'm sure a lot of other high school athletes can attest to, after you graduate high school, you know, go to school, you get a job, you get a little fat, lazy, you don't have a sport anymore. You lose that brotherhood, camaraderie with being in a sport. The second I started, it like lit a fire in me. I got some back that I lost in like my youth back in high school. I say youth being 29, but the only thing which I find funny, which, you know, other spouses might not, is I checked out the sport a week before I got married, and I didn't really tell my wife. And then a week after I got married, I'm like, so now that you're legally stuck with me, I got a sport to tell you about. It was a hard sell for a long time. But luckily she's come aboard. If you watch the fights this Saturday, you'll see her as one of my support people, helping me in between rounds with water and making sure all my gear is in check. But yeah, as my teammate Andrew, I fought with him at the first club. We fought there for a while. We decided we wanted to be more competitive. The original club was more for hobbyists, and it was more for like a profit club. We wanted to become a nonprofit. We're in it strictly for the love of the game. So we separated, we created our own team. And like Andrew said, you know, a lot of people say, oh, this is your hobby. Like, oh, like what do you do? Like, you know, maybe once a week or so. And like, we all have our 9 to 5. This is my 5 to 9. Like I am putting easily 40 hours into training. Like I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu now as well. And although it's nice advancing in jiu-jitsu, I'm doing this strictly as cross training for pro fights in Boohert. Like all my hobbies, you know, and luckily I have a wonderful wife who's on board with it, who supports those hobbies, but all of our time, my money, I'm spending money on equipment. I probably went through 3 shields training for this fight. My buddy had to fix my gauntlet like 2 or 3 times because we were cracking it for how much, you know, we're training and taking this fight seriously. So yeah, it's not just a hobby, it's everything.
Hello, my name is Ronan Sato. I'm from Quebec City. I've lived in the States 30 years. I've moved in 5 different states. So I was forced to switch martial arts every time I moved. So I did everything: boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, even Tai Chi and Kung Fu. And I had taken a break from martial arts. I was doing like beach tennis, beach volleyball, pickleball. And I discovered the sport 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago with the History Channel Night Fight. And that was it. I found it online. 2 weeks later, I was in LA Golden Knights, and they put me in armor the first day, and I loved it. And I stuck with it since then. I had a chance to fight in Europe, 30 12s, 12 territories and duels. Just like him, I did everything. I did duels, sword and shield, sword, buckler, longsword, poleaxe, 5-on-5, 12, 30s. I think my favorite is pro fight because of my mixed martial art background. But I really think there's something fun for everybody. I have a background in gymnastics for 8 years and all the other sport. I just major on top of that. So that's my instance coming from that. It's easy. And I want to grow this sport because I think it's my favorite one by a long shot. Of all the sport and all the martial arts I've done before, this is it. And I guess for most of us, I would say, hitting somebody in the head with a weapon and not going to jail for it, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. It's a dream of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I get to do 4 million on top of that. So I'm thankful to Mikey and the sport. And like I said, I will try to grow it as much as I can. And I'll keep coaching forever. And my plan is to stick in as a pro fighter for 10 years. I'm supposed to be retired in melee. That's my agreement with my wife. So I can last. Thank you.
And I do want to answer this one too, because I don't know if I'm different, but I hear this story a lot when people come to this sport. I was kind of on my way out. Man, I should just say something funny instead. No, I was building like a suicide bus. I was going to travel, say goodbye to all my friends and just check out, you know. I was done. I was ready to move on. Nothing excited me anymore. And I did see it just like everybody else did online. And then nobody was around. Nobody taught me what to do. I just bought armor, and 6 months later, it just randomly showed up while I'm welding on the sides of my van, and I put it on, and it sucked. Like, it felt so awful. I felt so upset at myself because I don't have a background. You know, I didn't do sports. You know, I had nothing. I was a chain smoking, drinking, drug doing musician that traveled and did all the crazy things you can. So I was just so mad that I just didn't take care of myself long enough to do, you know, at the time, what I thought was just a silly, stupid sport that, you know, put on armor, hit each other. Cool. I couldn't even move. I couldn't get the helmet off. It was the worst. And it was at that moment when I was like, well, I had a lot of fun treating myself like shit. Like, it was a blast, you know, traveling up late, playing music. And I thought maybe I'd have fun, just as much fun, taking care of myself. And I just started training on my back porch. I told some people I'm going to be here at this time. If you want to come, show up. We had a stack of tires and a hill. That's what we started with, and a stick, you know. And I realized that, it slowly saved my life. It slowly made me want to be better and take care of myself and have goals again. And as soon as I realized it helped me, I found purpose. I realized a lot of what I've done for my whole life was trying to help people as much as I can. And I'd lost track of that. And coming to this sport and realizing that I could help other people around in my neighborhood, and then beyond, it gave me that purpose to keep going, whether I'm a good fighter, bad fighter, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as I show up for everybody who wants to do this sport and be a body to hold up this effort, to hold up everybody's dreams, that's why I'm in this sport. So I know it's a little heavy, but everybody's here has that little bit of story where they knew that they needed something, and this was it. Anybody got questions now?
Well, I was going to let me touch on that real quick. We see a lot of veterans in this sport. I think that something that is, and I know that this might even be a question that comes up later, but what makes this sport kind of different than the other sports? Throughout high school and stuff like that, people have these team sports that they're a part of, right? And then once you kind of get into the adult life, if you're not good enough at those sports, you kind of move on, kind of like Jimmy was saying, you kind of lose that camaraderie. But the thing about this sport is other than, unless we're talking about football or maybe rugby, where there's kind of like a physical content of that sport. And I will touch on, that's why you see probably more guys in the sport than you do females, but you do start seeing a lot of these really amazing females coming in that want to test themselves at a physical level, which you don't get all the time. And I think it's amazing to see some really amazing female fighters out here, wearing the same amount of armor and weight as we are, really pushing themselves to the limits. And so the big difference is that you don't get a lot of combat team sports. And I know, we're doing MMA here and we're doing one-on-one fights. But for a lot of people that don't know, we've kind of touched on the word Boohert up here. And for the people that don't know, Boohert is kind of the way that the sport kind of started as full contact. It's a team fighting sport. You fight 5 guys versus 5 guys, or 12 guys versus 12 guys. And it's different than the one-on-one stuff. It's a team fight to the last man standing. And so a lot of us kind of started with the Boohert mentality and then kind of came into an MMA one-on-one, trying to test our self skills, our one-on-one skills, because you kind of have that team aspect in the Boohert. But I will say it's, there's no other combat sport that you have a team, unless you were in the military, to go back to the original statement of it attracts a lot of veterans, is when you're in a unit or you're in the military and you have these guys that you're really, you expect them to defend you and they expect you to defend them. Is there's not really a sport that you kind of get like that other than like a little bit of football where you're kind of defending your quarterback and whatnot. But your quarterback's not getting hit with a two-handed axe, so
they can't even touch him anymore. Actually.
Yeah. And you see football is even getting away from the, real physical contactness of it. So what brings veterans in, I think, a lot to this sport is that you're seeing, if we're talking about Boohert, like when I'm on the field with Jimmy, I know that I can trust that Jimmy's going to have my back and he's going to keep me safe. And Jimmy knows that if I'm on the field, I'm going to keep Jimmy safe. And so I think that's something that veterans kind of miss when they get out of the military. And so for anybody who is a veteran and whatnot, who is kind of looking for something like that to get back into a brotherhood of people that that they're going to keep you safe. And it's really about the guy next to you, especially in the Boohert mentality of it. This is definitely a good sport for you. And then once you really get into it, and then you really want to test yourselves personally, and you want to test your personal skills outside of a team aspect, then MMA is where it's at.
Yeah, if you're a violent person, there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found the right people to hang out with, right? No, and there's a beautiful book out there. It's called Ceremony. It's about how Native Americans fought in World War II, I believe, or maybe Vietnam. I do forget. I do apologize. But it's a great book. And it is about how when they come back, they have ceremonies that bring their warriors back into the fold. And it is so sad that we see veterans come home and they don't have that, right? And this sport, again, attracts a lot of veterans because they're just, a little different. They're made to be different. They want to be different. And this is the kind of different that they need to be a part of. So veterans out there, join Armored Combat for sure. Love to have you. Any questions? Yeah.
So we touched on Boohert and how that competition happens. You guys are now transitioning to these one-on-one fights. Tell me what the difference is as far as training goes between the two, and what you have to do special or have in your toolbox to be successful as a one-on-one fighter.
We're looking on time too. Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to take it?
I think I'll take that one from first. Like you mentioned, Boohert is really interesting. I will say there's nothing like putting somebody down in Boohert. It's just amazing. And it stays with you for life, I'd say. As far as one-on-one fighting, I think your weight matters a lot more. The weight of your armor is almost become like Formula One. Every half pound to pound matters in your armor, and I would say as a body too. So if you want to go to the extreme level that we're doing at this point, become professional, you're gonna have to watch your weight, watch your diet, your sleep, your training, all combined, your injuries. So that's different. You can get away with being injured in Boohert much easier. I fought with an injured elbow, injured knees, injured neck, bruised ribs. You can still do it because you can cover that with a shield and your friend and the list, and nobody knows. But when you're one-on-one, all the pressure's on you. You can't give the excuse to anybody on your team didn't do their job, so it's all on you. And you have to last those rounds. They're much longer. And if there's a weakness developed, if your opponent sees a weakness, he'll capitalize on it. You don't have to get to hide that like in Boohert. So lasting longer, being lighter armor is very different. And the bigger guys, kudos to them, they have to last. And that's the hardest part. The hardest to keep up with that muscle mass. And it's tough. So that's why there's so few of those big guys fighting. Because they have to still put a good show too and have fun and not get killed. So there you have it.
Yeah. So going from Boohert training to one-on-one training, you got to do a lot more endurance work, a lot more cardio. You got to be able to last those rounds, like he was saying. So you want to get in there and train your body to go past what you're about to do in that fight, in that cage, for the couple minutes per round that you're going to get. So a lot more endurance and a lot more cardio is what we involve in. And by doing that, you're going to end up doing a lot more different disciplines and using those things like grappling and wrestling and things like that as part of getting you in condition for it, getting your body in condition to do these throws, for 2 minutes straight, as opposed to just one person, and then move on to the next one. You're also fighting by yourself and you don't get anybody to come in and help you. So you're in there. So you're in there. You have to there's no other way out but to finish. So that's pretty much how you got to go into training every single day. So training regimen for Boohert for me went from like 2 days a week to 7 for Armored MMA.
I'd like to add something. Anyone who's done combat sports versus team sports, I'd say the biggest part in a one-on-one with these pro fights in the cage versus Boohert is that the victory and loss is yours. I can't say, oh, you know, for the Boohert, we lost because my teammate got injured or he gassed out and he quit. You know, like in football, the offensive lineman could be like, well, I did my job, but the running back fumbled the ball and then the other team got it and got a touchdown. I did my job. I'm okay. You could rationalize it, but when you lose, you lost. You can't blame anyone. You can't be like, oh, my teammate didn't do this. No, the other guy is better than you. He beat you, and you have to be able to rationalize that. And you can't be a sore loser. It's that psychological that, and you lose and you have to get better. Like there's no excuse. I can't blame anyone else but myself. The only answer when you lose is to get better. But also at the same side is that makes victories so much more sweet. I can't say like, oh, I got carried by my team. He's not that good of a fighter. His team's super good. He even the third string gets, the medal or the ring, for Super Bowl and stuff. But for this, like, no, I beat him. I beat him because I'm better. I can't say because, I had a good teammate or this, that. No. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between Boohert and pro fighting, just like any single, MMA, wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, any of the martial arts one-on-one sports versus team sports, is that the victories and losses are your own.
Yeah, John.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So everybody spoke about how how is the difference between Boohert and one-on-one fights. What I would like to say is there's also like transferable skills from one-on-one fights back to Boohert. Fair amount of time you will see in our sport, people choose Boohert as specifically because it's a team sport. Maybe there is somewhere to hide. You're carried with a team. You want to work with a team, but it's also like to push yourself individually as one-on-one will give you massive feedback back to your 5v5. So if you ever try Boohert, please try one-on-one disciplines. Please try pro fighting and whatever discipline you want to choose. Let's challenge yourself as one-on-one as well, rather than just rely on your team all the time, because it will give you. If it's just footwork, stamina is like Taylor was like put on it. Like when you're pro fighting, you put a bit more into it, which then again will transfer back to your Boohert skills as well. The fitter you are, the more help you to your team. So don't be scared to just come to one-on-ones.
Yeah, Boohert hurts more.
Depends on the day. Yeah. I got a couple going here. So we're going to answer a couple more questions. We're going to have to talk about the event real quick, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. So, but John, what you got?
Just one of the things I find amazing is you get out there, you fight for 6 minutes, you're beating the snot out of each other, and then the first thing after the fight ends is a big hug. Everybody's still happy. Where in other combat sports, I see anger. Can you address that?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, respect in this sport is massive. None of us, and maybe that's the beauty of it. Maybe it's not, but I mean, none of us are becoming millionaires for doing this sport. So we're doing this for a pure love of this. We want to push this as far as possible. So whoever steps in that cage with you and put a helmet on, huge respect to them, whoever that is. So I never had it like a bad blood against the opponent. And I've seen it a little bit, but not much. After the fight, there's always still respect. I think that's probably part of it. Because I know what my opponent's going through. He has to train for this fight as much as you have to train for this fight. He has to sacrifice as much as you have to sacrifice for it. And because of it, you know what he's going through. He still goes like full-time job and then comes to trainings, then go it again. And then he is essentially taking away time from his family, time from what he wants to do. So there's nothing but a massive respect to anyone who's prepared to do that. To push himself through it.
Yeah, I'll touch on that too. I mean, when I first started the sport, one of the big sayings was like, Boohert is love. And I think one of the big Ukrainian armors that actually makes armor for the sport kind of coined that term a long time ago. And I think it really touches on what Boohert says is that, we all do have 9 to 5 jobs here. I know, with MMA and UFC, it's gotten to a point that people are able to make it a full-time job. So when they're able to make it a full-time job, you can get a little bit more bad blood, you know what I mean? Because that's your full-time job. And, but maybe less than MMA, but definitely on the Boohert status, like we were just talking about, Boohert with the team fights, I would say in a general terms is a lot more dangerous than what we do here in MMA. We're using regulated swords, and stuff like that. For the people that have watched MMA and seen people, fight with the 2-handed axes, if you look at a Boohert match and, you can openly swing a 2-handed axe as hard as you want at somebody that's being held by Jimmy. I can swing on somebody that's just being completely manhandled by Jimmy. But I know that he signed up for it just as much as I did, and so we kind of have this weird kind of respect that, like, hey, I put this armor on and I got in the cage to give you the best possible fight I can. And so when I'm swinging that axe on you, I'm not going to pull shots, because I'm really hoping that when you swing on me, you're not pulling shots, because I'm going to give you everything I have. And I hope that you give me everything that you have when we get in that fight.
Believe it or not, most of us are probably drinking after this on Saturday night. To give you the kind of idea. We're gonna get some beers. Don't get me wrong, we're definitely trying to beat the hell out of each other, and it's definitely respecting our opponent's time and effort that they put in the sport. But there's that camaraderie, because as of right now, the sport did start, pretty small group. The community's growing. But yeah, touch on what he said. Yeah, we're trying to beat the hell out of each other, but we respect each other, and we're definitely drinking after.
No, the only time I feel bad about after a fight, win or lose, is if I didn't do my best, for them, not even for me. Like my war's up here. I got to figure that out on my own time. But when I step in and I just don't perform as well as I wanted to, not winning wise, but just being there for that other person to beat me up. Like, I think last fight, man, I showed up, I was exhausted, and I was just screaming at him to punch me in the face. Like, just wake me up. Like, you get your thing out of this, because I can't bring you enough. I felt horrible about it, but you know what? Some bruised ribs later, I feel pretty good now. So, Sean, and then Kels, and then we'll switch.
For Boohert, Andrew Martinez, and Jenny, traveling to America and fighting Americans, what legacy are you hoping to leave here tomorrow night?
Say it again.
What legacy are you hoping to leave here tonight by traveling to America and fighting Americans?
Talking about legacies, right? I mean, that's a tricky one. I've been doing this sport for a while, and I reached the level that I'm happy with, and this is what I'm hoping for, is that I'll inspire someone who will come and say, that's what I want to be. I want to be the motherfucker who's on top, whatever medal you win, whatever's around your neck, whatever's around your waist. I mean, it's all in the past, right? I'm like, people say you're only as good as your last fight, right? That's absolute bollocks, right? Your last fight is behind you, so you're not as good as that because you tried to be better. And if you sit on the last fight, then you're just gonna sit on your ass and not gonna put on a gym in it. So you're gonna be worse than your last fight, right? So if I ever inspire anyone to try to push themselves forward and be better than they are at the time they are, I can't ask for more. So, but for me, that there's no difference between America, Russia, Ukraine, Poland. I always aim to try to fight the best in the world and try to find the best leagues and best organization in the world. And as it stands currently, that's in America. So for me, there's no difference. But as it stands, MMA is the biggest organization we got in a sport, in sport of profits, or outrances, or whatever you want to call them. So to fight here, it's not saying my legacy is maybe a bit selfish, try to be at the biggest shows, at the best events. But if you want to push yourself there, you have to get there somehow, right? And how do you get there? I mean, everybody starts from the ground, Nobody's born amazing. Nobody's born perfect, It's just impossible. So as long as you prove yourself, and as long as you take opportunities and take your chances to become better and chase your dreams, if anyone can step away from me and look at my career, what I achieved in the sport, and say, I would like a piece of that, that'll be awesome.
I think it's amazing because here in USA, almost all the fighters have some different skills, more like fencing skills, wrestling, close combat, kind of like that. So I'm just want to be a full skill fighter. Almost in every fight in MMA, I fought against different guys with some different skills, like Jordan with wrestling. I fought a lot. Um, different guys. And in this case, I never fought against Andrew. So that pushed me to be better and become in more skilled fighter. So I like come to USA not only to pro fight, just another categories, because here almost all the guys that have top level, like maybe in duels, there is so like Nicolas Homa, and here in MMA, Andrew is almost the top in the ranking. So I feel grateful to fight here, and you need to invite me more. So I want to fight with more people because that make me more skilled guy. So that's
I'm gonna send it all the way down.
great.
No.
I'm basically going to touch base on those two. I see the same. For me, it doesn't matter if it's been American or fighting as a Polish girl. It doesn't really matter. Yes, we all have different fighting style, but that makes an excitement, right? We want to go like, okay, they do it slightly different. We're European. I mean, known for a bit more fencing, maybe. Okay, so we kind of adapt to it. But for me, my main goal really is just to get more females included in the sport. Like, we can do it too. Like, me and Sean are going to prove it's going to be an amazing fight, and we're going to show that we females are worth to be on this card. I'm very grateful that we can be on this card and that we get seen more. And I know we're a small population in the sport because combat sport, it's always, as females, always like a 5 to 10%, right? We're all aware. But especially with this sport, it's an investment to do, right? You don't just buy boxing gloves. You have to buy a whole suit of armor, and you have to commit to this. I think as a female, it's even harder. So the sport is even smaller on the female side. And I just want to show tomorrow evening that we can do it too. And we have the right to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tag onto that real quick because Kelsey's out here in the audience. She's vice president, owner, fighter. Yeah, don't cringe yet. I'm not going to say anything nice about you. When we started Armored MMA, her main thing was to make sure we had a female fight every single time. So as tired as she is, like as I am, we traveling, making these shows happen. If there wasn't a female fight, she'd step in and take the fight. You know, I mean, even the last one you took, you had a kidney infection and still fought through, you know, so it is about representation. The boys got it easy. They got all the boys club hanging out and their friends come and join. But like, there's always this one woman out there that has to be, what would you say? Like above and beyond expectations. It's so much harder to be a standout fighter because you're the only one right at the moment. And so we have worked hard. Kelsey deserves all the praise to make sure that there were female fights because it has been inspiring. We see the women in the girl, like the kids out there, they see that, you know, next generation when they're ready to fight, you know, that they'll have the support system when they get there. So, because it isn't just about your fight at that moment. And I apologize, it's heavier on you guys, but it's not about your fight. It's about the conversations you're going to have after the fight with all the people who want to come and join the sport and hopefully see you guys in the ring, you know. So thank you guys for showing up and working so hard, you know, coming back from a knee injury, right? Like coming all the way from the UK and working your ass off all year long. Like it's going to be an amazing fight. I'm excited to have it. And hopefully it's as inspirational as we all know it will be. So, but that leads us to our question from Kels.
That actually leads really well into my question. It's for our fem fighters. First of all, it's amazing that all of you guys are here, and I'm really happy to see all of you guys up there. But especially our two fem fighters, because this is our first fem championship match for MMA, and I know there's a lot of people rooting for you, and a lot of people inspired by you, myself included. And I know you both well enough to know that one of your main goals is to inspire others, like you just said. So I'm curious, who in your life has inspired you along your fight journey and has kept you inspired to continue going and putting in the hard work to get you here today?
Yeah, I can go first. So inspired, actually, maybe it sounds a bit controversial now, but it's been my 3 male training partner from the get-go. It's Boohert, Daniel, and Lucas Koval. Those 3, because they just put so much work in from the get-go, and I was very privileged to join the sport having those 3 around me kicking the ass, to be honest. Like, I was bruised. That really got me. But those 3, seeing 3 people with a different weight class, but the inspiration that we had behind, the fire they had behind their eyes, I was like, I want that. And those were the ones that keep actually inspiring me. Like, I know as guys, but like those who just like, because I train with my training partner, they really do that for me.
For me, I've been doing armored combat for a while, mainly melees and more recently pro fights. And I got into the sport long enough ago that I actually got to meet some of the like OG pioneer women of the sport. And I was very privileged to be able to talk to them and their experiences about being the very first women at like particular tournaments and having to like literally fight to be part of like the tournament, you know, like especially I think Europe has generally had it hardest in terms of like actually getting women events into tournaments, and they fought very hard to make that happen. And so I felt like very privileged to have known them and to have shared the field with them. But also I want to take a second to point out that like we're talking about how like, you know, how great the women in the sport are, but honestly, like the men of the sport have done so much to build up the women of the sport. Like they have been very proactive about like creating space for us, and they're always like checking in and seeing what we need and like making sure that like we are like a priority, we are, you know, equal, and we are included, and we're getting everything we need. So the guys of the sport are the ones who have also like really inspired me to do well because they are so supportive of us.
On that note, we're going to just talk about the event real quick. I can field any questions you have about the event. It kicks off. Where's Steven? I don't know. He's gone. Cool. You know, show up tomorrow. It's free for the first half of the day. You know, you can start showing up at 10. I think the fighters for melees are told to be here. What time? Like 8? Is that 9? Okay. I can't count. He holds up this many. I'm like, that's so show up at this many. And the fighters are going to be there checking their weapons. And then I believe the doors open around 10. You can come in. There's going to be 12v12 fighting. There's going to be 5v5 women's fighting over by the Play Action Plaza underneath the Ferris wheel. There's going to be local regional bands. I believe there's 4 or 5 of them playing down by the shopping mall. So check them out as well. There's booths. There's tattoo parlors like they're popping up, axe throwing, all that fun stuff. It's an all-day thing, right? So come. There's entertainment for everybody, for everyone, all day long. And then again, we're going to usher you in at about 4 o'clock to the stadium where Sleep Theory will kick it off. Then Drowning Pool. We're going to have the first 5 fights of the night. I will be one of them. And then Lamb of God plays. And then again, we wrap it up with some more fights. So on another note, I got some friends here from out of the country. I mean, a lot of friends from out of the country, but I can see them right in front of me. These Italian bastards right over here. They did invent a game called Blob Arena. They took a lot of these armor fighters here, put them in the game. So check it out. Their app launches this weekend. It's a huge deal. It's a first crypto app, gaming app like that. It's a lot of fun. So just look it up, Blob Arena on your smartphone. Is that a good enough plug for you? Yeah. Now, if anybody's got any last questions, I'm gonna let these guys go because we're gonna do a quick tour of the stadium. And yeah, bro.
I would like to add that Mikey and Kelso and MMA are making history this weekend. This is gonna be the biggest tournament ever in history. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, so thank you guys again. Thank you, fighters. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Thank you. This is where we pretend like we're saying stuff to each other. Yeah.
Actually, in all seriousness, is there a way that